What's up, everybody? Nick Powell's publisher of 1851franchise.com here with another episode of Meet the Zor. We are talking Anago coming up next. All right, actually, Adam, let's start with your story. How did you accidentally fall into franchising? What's your franchise story?
Yeah, well, about 4.5 years ago, I was doing my thing. I was in furniture. I was with a bunch of manufacturers. I sold and found independent reps throughout the states that wanted to sell furniture. And I had been doing that for about 15 years, very well, very successfully. And then this thing called COVID hit. And all the furniture that I had these people sell was basically hospitality furniture, which the essence of hospitality furniture is where people gather. And what weren't we doing at COVID? We weren't gathering. So literally all my pipelines just shut off overnight. I kid you not. And I said to myself, I don't like this feeling. I feel helpless. I want to get into something where I maybe got a little bit more control, or it's recession proof, or political proof, whatever they want to call it. And I found myself at this company called Anago Cleaning Systems. And I'm like, it's a franchise of what? Commercial cleaning? I don't know anything about cleaning, not really something I gravitate to or anything like that. And then the more I learned about it, I learned about that it may be in the commercial cleaning space, but we're actually a master franchise model, which Nick, it's more of a 3-tiered model where we sell territories. And those people that buy a master territory, those folks then are the ones that are looking for commercial cleaners. So after digging into it a little bit more, I said, you know what, I kind of like this. Fast forward 4.5 years later, I'm the director of franchise sales, enjoy what I'm doing. We truly are recession proof. And I feel a lot more comfortable and confident in my future rather than, have something happen like COVID again, honestly. So that's how I found myself here.
Well, not that we'll dive too much into this, but you go from furniture in commercial spaces that people stop gathering to cleaning in commercial spaces that people stop gathering. So,
right.
I mean, it's come back now, but
yeah,
it's interesting to make that jump. So go back. You see this job listing, or you're being recruited into this role. Did you understand what franchising was at that point?
Not a clue. Not a clue. I had no clue. I honestly had an opportunity to go back into the furniture industry. And I said, I don't know what I can do there because I don't know how long this thing's going to last. So it was just something where I looked at one opportunity, a door closed, this one opened, and it opened a little bit because I still wasn't sure what franchising was. I was like most people out there. It's McDonald's, it's Dunkin' Donuts, Jimmy John's, Subway. That's all I knew. And the more I dived into it and the more I actually had the opportunity to talk to multiple employees here before I even started, I really got a good idea of a sense of the company and the opportunity. But I still had no clue.
You would call yourself a sophisticated business person, though, right?
Coming into
that, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So what I love about this answer, and I always find this to be the insight. You could have qualified to be a master franchisee with Anago.
Right.
Yet when I said, do you understand franchising? They say, no clue. You are a sophisticated human being. What is franchising? No clue. Yet, and I'm at your website right now, award-winning franchise specifically designed for business-savvy professionals. And so if I'm a buyer, which I think this is the hardest part of organic lead generation when it comes to franchising. If I'm a buyer and I land on that, I'm like, huh?
Right.
And so I think that's one of the gaps that has to be closed in franchising, because you or I could go back to the moment before we jump into franchising, and we don't know what it is, yet both you and I would be deemed a quality candidate, which is why, the broker community has exploded for coaching. But it's just fascinating to me because every brand they almost treat the sale of a franchise like selling gum. Right. But this is like such an intimate, long agreement, more difficult to get out of than a marriage. It is complex, and nobody's saying, hey, franchise buyer, before we talk to you about our opportunity, let's educate you about franchising.
Absolutely. No. And that's it. When I talk to people, I say, just to your point, this is like a marriage. We're going to be partners for 10 years in this, and, kind of that for better or for worse. And really that's what this is. And so we're excited when we talk to people that want to get into the business, whether it's somebody that wants to buy a master territory, somebody that wants to buy a unit franchise. It's definitely a different perspective when you're talking to a candidate that's going to be a business owner rather than applying for a job. There really is a huge amount of excitement on my part when I'm getting people that are ready to jump out of that, the corporate thing, and they're ready to go into a franchise. And here I am 4.5 years later, selling territories to people that if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have been clueless about
So I would imagine in a sales process. So I think about like commercial furniture, like when we've taken on a lease or we've bought a building, like obviously we are proactively being connected to the distributor that we want to use. For you to sell someone to be a distributor of furniture, like it's almost like they've already set out to do this. They knew this was the category they want to be in. So it's almost like you were going from an industry that was more so answering the questions of proactive buyers versus here, there's still an element of sales because most buyers are still trying to, not one person in commercial cleaning as a child said, someday I want to be in commercial cleaning.
Exactly.
So was that a change in your approach of sales that you had to learn yourself?
You know what's funny? I looked at the role in what I was doing before really felt like sales to me, and I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. When I came here to Anago, I looked at it as I'm consultative. I'm educating them on an opportunity. And I say this sincerely to them. At the end of the day, of course, a big part of this is you making the decision if you want to make this leap and all that. That's a huge part of it. And so I look at it as I'm going to give you all the tools for you to make an educated decision where when we're done with our process, you can walk away possibly, or you become our new master franchise owner for a territory. So I really don't look at it for a sale because at the end of the day, Nick, I'm asking them that they're probably going to spend $300,000 to $400,000 in their first year owning, purchasing, and operating. I can't without educating them to the point where I'm not selling you anything. I'm just talking about the opportunity. You decide if it's the right thing for you. And we've been very successful with it that way. Really have. I
think what you just said is another disconnect that exists in franchising. I mean this in a positive way for you. You're looking at it saying, look, this is a big decision. They're going to invest their life savings. I can't sell them. I just have to coach them through. The under layer of that is still I would imagine part of your comp comes from commissions. And so you are incentivized to help move people through. Like that's how you feed your family. We have a client. They decided to say, okay, let's look at what our salespeople could potentially make in a great year. And that's what we're going to pay them. No more commissions. They just paid the top line of that because they wanted to change it. And what's interesting, that philosophy changed the quality of the franchisees that were coming through. Nobody was being sold in because they were actually bonus on the success of the franchisee. So it's interesting to me because everything you just said connects with me greatly. I think that's the misnomer of franchise sales is when commissions are still attached to helping someone make a life decision. There's still a motive under there that some people can silence it. Some people have to listen to it. Some people are motivated by it. So, obviously what you just said is that's not your motivation. And if you do the right thing, you're going to get deals through. Any comments on that?
You have it exact, Nick. It's funny. Somebody called me the other day and I had been working with them in the process, maybe about more than halfway through, and they were buying a new territory. And they called me up and they said, Adam, I just went on a site where I found out that there's somebody in your system that's selling a territory that's an existing master owner. I want to go after that. But Adam, I realize if I do that, I'm kind of cutting you off whatever commission you might make. And I said to him, it matters not, honestly. If you are looking at and you feel that a new territory is a great idea, but an existing one isn't a better idea, and that's what you want to go after, don't worry about me. And so my point in that, and to kind of talk to what you mentioned before, Nick, a very, very small portion of what I get is commissioned on a sale. So it really, how do I put this? Money is not a motivator in that sense because of the fact that it's I hate to say it's a small amount because I'm compensated well on the day-to-day. So it's not a big factor of, I got to sell this guy. Absolutely not. When I talk with these folks, I say just as much as you are looking to buy an Anago and you're interviewing me in the process, I'm doing the same with you. I have to make sure you're the right candidate for our brand. And it's one of the reasons that we do great validation calls and all that kind of good stuff. Because I say to them, you're going to get a lot of great information, but so am I. Because I'm going to talk to everybody that you validate with, and I'm going to have a conversation. And how do you feel that they're going to do for the brand, and so on and so forth. So it really is a two-way street, a two-way interview. But yeah, money is not really the motivator. It's making sure it's the right fit. And if they find something else that's also in franchising, especially, good for them. They found what's right for them, because Anago may not always be the case. And I'm okay with that.
I mean, ultimately, what we're talking about is sales philosophy, and when it comes to commercial cleaning, like that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the sales philosophy. But
Correct.
one more thing of what you just said, another thing that I think is backwards in franchising. I think many franchisors, they are easily excited by the deal.
Right.
In my opinion, the resale is the most valuable deal to a system, because it showed protection of investment by another franchisee. Whether it was great or not, there's still an exchange of money. The door doesn't just get shut down at the end. And because it's a handoff to someone else that is now going to add their energy back to that unit, usually the second, third, fourth generation units end up outperforming the previous one. And so, but they're seen almost as like the ugly stepchild when it should be the hero of the brand. And so that scenario, in my opinion, franchisor should say, hey, Adam, we're going to actually increase your bonus significantly because you got someone to go buy an existing location, which is actually really, really good for our brand story.
Absolutely. You know, I will tell you, we have multiple sales, whether it's a corporate resale or it's a, somebody, an individual selling. And we don't have many of those. And I look at that as a compliment in the system that, you don't have a lot of folks that are selling. Like this one gentleman who happens to be selling, he's been in the system for 7 years. He had some changes in his life, so he's looking to change. But prior to that, we hadn't had a sale in like 4 years. And, an existing selling, one of their territories. It just doesn't happen very often. You could look at it as, well, it's a great time to continue to be in commercial cleaning, own a master territory, whatever it may be. But yeah, we really don't have a lot of sales. So it's hard for me to say, oh, that should be a larger part of the compensation or whatever it might be, because we just don't have a lot of them. Yeah, we've got 49 master territories right now sold. And I've got over 50 new ones to go. I've got 50 more territories. So we've got a lot to go. But yeah, we don't have a lot of resales in the system. I have right now 16 people that have signed a new agreement with us, meaning they're year 11 through 20. And then I have another 6 that are in years 21 through 30. So we've got some really good longevity in the system for what it's worth.
Obviously, your business, I mean, I understand it, but to the buyer, they're coming in, and if we go back to, you and I don't understand franchising, now you have to explain the difference between a master and a unit to say, like, you're in the easiest sense, you're selling a job to a unit franchisee who, if they follow the system, they can obviously scale it up and take care of their family.
You got it.
It's how the model was created. In my opinion, and I know I'm in the minority on this, I actually think joint employer is a beautiful thing, because most buyers that get into business, called the master franchisees, they're not experts in HR. And so when you can lean back to the corporate headquarters and say, help us understand this and navigate this. But I think the reason joint employer and the industry gets brought up, or the understanding of master unit is so complex, is because, again, you and I, sophisticated human beings, don't understand franchising. We go to government policy, ask them if they understand franchising. The answer is no. And so it's hard to understand the different movements here, but it is allowing someone to buy into business that to some extent has to have a little bit more grit and hustle, because they're not going to be financially deep at the unit level side. So is that hard? Is that the biggest obstacle that you have to overcome, is explaining how the business model actually works?
It's funny. I usually, what I do, I have a video that when I have an introductory call with somebody, before I even talk to them, I send them an 8-minute video, and it's basically of a B-rated actor that kind of does a whole voice thing where, he talks about the model and he gives everybody an idea of the foundation and stuff like that. At least, so when I talk to them, they have an idea that I'm not looking for a janitor. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for like that mid to high level C-suite type executive, somebody with a certain net worth that comes in and I can then sit there and reasonably have multiple calls with them for them to understand the opportunity. Because most of the time, and if you asked a lot of my current master franchise owners, they would all tell you the first time a consultant put this in front of me, I passed, because all they saw was Anago, cleaning systems. They're like, is it a cleaning company? Is it a cleaning system? And then when the broker and the consultant kind of brought it back and say, well, look at this opportunity again. My point is, it's that difficult even for a consultant or a broker to even get somebody to look at it and then for me to talk to them. So yeah, it's a couple calls. And I normally say the first 30-minute introductory call, answering any questions that they may have, misconceptions, high level of what the model is. And then I can see it in their eyes. They're still confused. And I say, you're right where you should be. The next call is going to make a little bit more clarity. And then the next one. And then when you see the FDD, all of a sudden things start making sense. So honestly, Nick, it is never a first call where they're like, oh, I got it. So yeah, it makes my job that much more difficult.
Two quick comments. One, you called the actor a B-list actor. Like David Arquette's a D-list. So that guy who has no name, you just like put him on a pedestal. Lucky that guy. That's great. Second comment is, and I think this is how a broker community needs to sell this thing. There are certain people that will come to the table and say, I'm passionate about senior care because I was a caregiver for my parents and I want to get into senior care, or I'm fanatical about education. That's what I grew up in. That's what I want to buy in. Or I love that burger. I want to buy that burger. Like that. Those are the categories. Then you have the other ones that say, here's what my financial vision is for my family, how much I have to invest, and how much I want to make. And if you did that at the start, the reality is, and the numbers align, you can look in item 19 of you guys or someone else,
right?
But it aligns that here's how much it costs to get in and here much I can make is really, really sound. So if that's where, and most brands shouldn't start with the money side, but ultimately you're selling to a business community. And so right. if I was adjusting your message, I would almost get rid of the weird guy in the glasses that looks like he's a franchise broker. I would start off by, if your vision is this for your family's wealth and you want to build a business that can help you accomplish this, let us now explain what this is. Like that's where it should start.
And that's what we do, generational wealth, legacy building. We talk about a lot of the times where we have like it went from parent to child. We've got that multiple in our system. And it's something we love to talk about because at the end of the day, most of the people I talk to, they're in their 40s or 50s. They might have young children, teenagers, maybe some in college, and they're thinking to themselves, how do I make their life better than what mine was? And so I get a lot of people that resonates with them about the generational opportunity for sure, Nick, for sure.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Let's say a candidate has watched this and my line broken record is I bet on the jockey, not on the horse. So they've listened to this conversation. They understand that we're talking about business philosophy more than anything. Is there anything else you want the candidate to know about the business before we sign off?
Oh boy, so much, honestly. So things are going off my head. The best thing that I can say is a large majority of the people that I talk to come from a consultant or a broker that brings them to Anago, shows them the initial opportunity, shows them probably 5 or 6 franchises. I guess the best I could say is I love it when people are intrigued enough to where they like, I know what this is. I know what, a McDonald's is or this, that, the other, but I don't know what this Anago is. Tell me more about it. And so the best I can say is, if you're not working with one, consultants and brokers are the way to go. And then they're going to be, in my thought process, they are the best ones to lead you to some great opportunities. And so give them a shot.
Love it. Adam, appreciate you. I mean, just the pure conversation on business is awesome. Thanks for doing this.
You bet.
Appreciate it. For Adam, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the Zor.